Today's event is on Zoom, and please let us know via the chat function if you have any technical problems, and one of the team will assist you. We are also using closed captions for today's event. Please click on the closed captions button on the Zoom toolbar to use them. We will also send you an edited transcript of the event in the next few days. Today's event represents the high point of the Efficiency for Access Design Challenge for 2020 to 2021. It allows us to showcase some of the amazing submissions we have received this year and awards prizes to students with the most innovative designs. We will start today's event with the introductory speech from Mike Fonten, Chief Executive, Energy Saving Trust. Following this, Inge Jurgensen, Group Head of Business Development, Energy Saving Trust, will give a keynote. Afterwards, Emma Crichton, Head of Engineering at Engineers Without Borders UK, will chair a panel discussion and Q&A session entitled, How Do We Truly Achieve Inclusive Energy Access? She will be joined by three panelists, Amita Bhakhtar, Margaret Matinga, and Georgia Thompson. We will then take a 10-minute timed break at 12 p.m. Following this, Sean Davey, Project Coordinator, Energy Saving Trust, will present an overview of the Efficiency for Access Design Challenge for this year. We will then watch two videos that provide insights into the competition this year and students' projects. Last but definitely not least, Jackie Garcia, Senior Project Manager, Energy Saving Trust, and Luke Smith, Program Manager, Engineers Without Borders UK, will present the awards. I will now hand over to Mike Fonten, Chief Executive, Energy Saving Trust, who will give an introductory speech. Over to you, Mike.
Thanks, Sarah. And hello, everybody. Good morning from London in England in the United Kingdom. My name it really is Mike Thornton, and I am the Chief Executive of Energy Saving Trust. And I'm delighted to be opening this year's grand final of the Efficiency for Access Design Challenge. We're thrilled that people from all around the globe have joined today's events. Thank you for making the time to be with us, and welcome once again. And special thanks to the talented student teams from Bangladesh, from India, Kenya, Sweden, Uganda, and several other countries who've taken part in the competition this year. It's been an honor for our team at Energy Saving Trust. As you've heard, we're co-secretariat of Efficiency for Access, and also for our partners, Engineers Without Borders UK, to support you throughout the year. I think we've all been inspired by the energy and enthusiasm that you've put into the challenge, into designing innovative energy efficient appliances for off-grid and weak grid settings in low to middle income countries. And this energy and this enthusiasm will be crucial to global efforts to enhance access to modern energy services and address the climate emergency. Because currently, 770 million people around the world lack access to energy and appliances that can help them earn a living, irrigate their agriculture, and stay cool in a world of rising temperatures. And to develop markets for appliances and enhance clean energy access while still reducing carbon emissions, these appliances will need to become ever more efficient, sustainable, and affordable. So Energy Saving Trust totally believes in the developmental importance of appliances. Our work on the Low Energy Inclusive Appliances Program, which we deliver with our US partner CLASP, has helped almost 5.5 million of the world's poorest people gain access to affordable low carbon energy and appliances. But we are at a turning point. By committing to the Paris Agreement in 2015, countries agreed to limit global warming to a relatively safe 1.5 degrees centigrade. The latest science shows that to do this, emissions will need to halve by 2030 and reach net zero by mid-century if this goal is to be met and the worst impacts of climate change to be prevented. And if we don't succeed in doing this, we're likely to experience the things that I think we all know about: extreme heat waves, droughts, mass extinctions, and a rise in sea levels. And countries in the global south will be the hardest hit. They will suffer the most from climate change and are the least able to afford its consequences. And vulnerable groups, including particularly women and girls, people with disabilities, the elderly, and displaced people, will be especially affected. So if we're serious about achieving the dual goals of enhancing access to modern energy services and appliances and combating climate change, we absolutely need inspired and talented young people from around the world to come together right now to address these problems. They need skills and experience to create appliances that work for remote and rural communities. And it's also really important to forge bonds between university and private sector companies working in the off-grid and weak grid sectors, because these links are the things that can really help drive innovation. And that's why the Efficiency for Access Design Challenge is such an important and inspirational competition. It's a global and multidisciplinary effort that empowers teams of university students to help accelerate clean energy access, and it also fosters wider links and collaborations. The challenge is now in its second year, and it's good to report it's growing fast. In the first year of the competition, 78 students from 9 universities submitted 14 projects. This year, 89 students from 13 universities submitted a very impressive 23 projects, and their ideas range really widely, from solar-powered oxygen concentrators to energy-efficient mills for smallholder farmers. The students taking part have received expert mentoring from the leaders of innovative companies in the energy access sector, including those that have received support from the Efficiency for Access Research and Development Fund, which Energy Saving Trust manages. Students have also learnt about almost every aspect of the off and weak grid appliances sectors through an impressive webinar schedule. And the challenge has also helped enhance their job prospects by giving them access to networking opportunities. So 2021 is a make or break year in the world's fight against climate change. In November, as I think we'll all be aware, world leaders are coming together in Glasgow for COP26, the most important summit since 2015. And they're being asked to bring forward realistic plans to reduce greenhouse gas emissions drastically in the next decade to make sure that global temperatures do not rise beyond the level set out in the Paris Agreement. And collaboration and innovation of the sort that we're seeing in the challenge simply have to play a big part if these plans are to succeed. So the challenge really is relevant and about all our futures. I'd like to finish my contribution to proceedings in the traditional way with some heartfelt thank yous. Firstly, of course, there would not be any Efficiency for Access Design Challenge without its funding from UK Aid and the IKEA Foundation. And we're also incredibly grateful to our partners, Engineers Without Borders UK, who, as I've said, deliver the challenge with us. And to our student teams, thank you again for making the Energy for Access Design Challenge the success it has been this year. That you've delivered your projects during the COVID-19 pandemic makes us admire your commitment and dedication even more. We look forward to seeing the undoubted impact that you will make in the off-grid and weak grid appliances sectors. And that's it from me, except just to say to all watching, we hope that you enjoy today's grand final. I'm sure that you will. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your speech, Mike. Over to you. And now I'll hand over to Inge Jurgensen, Group Head of Business Development, Energy Saving Trust, for the keynote. Over to you, Inge.
Great. Thank you very much. And good morning, everyone. Could we please move on to the first slide, Sarah? Great. Well, good morning, everyone. My name is Inge Jurgensen, and I'm Group Head of Business Development at Energy Saving Trust. I'm responsible for delivering our international programs. Efficiency for Access flagship initiative, the Low Energy Inclusive Appliances Program, which we delivered in partnership with CLASP, is one that I'm particularly proud of. So thank you again for joining the grand final of the Efficiency for Access Design Challenge. We are proud to deliver this challenge with our partner, Engineers Without Borders UK. We have been very impressed by participating students who have created affordable and energy efficient appliances for off and weak grid settings. Since it is International Day of Women in Engineering, and the theme for this year's edition is Engineering Heroes, I'm also delighted to see that a third of students participating are women. We applaud you for the heroism and leadership that you have shown by participating in the competition. We move on to the next slide, please. We have also been particularly struck by the way you have forged diverse multidisciplinary teams that have created ideas with real social impact. Indeed, multidisciplinary collaboration and leadership are an essential part of the Efficiency for Access Design Challenge. As you all know, the international community has set ambitious goals for achieving sustainable energy access by all by 2030. To help to achieve this, we'll need more visionaries around the world working across disciplines to ensure that the world's poorest people have the tools that they need to earn living and enjoy improved quality of life. And increasingly, the international community recognizes that we will need to empower more heroes if we are to reduce greenhouse gas emissions to the levels set by the Paris Agreement. Thank you. According to IFC, backup generators powered by fossil fuels currently serve 20 to 30 million unique sites. They also have been, there's also an installed generation capacity equivalent to 700 to 1,000 coal-fired power stations. This has real implications for the climate change, both now and in the future. And what is more, people who live in the global south rely on backup generators to power their businesses and perform domestic tasks. So affordable, high-performing and powered appliances offer low carbon pathway to sustainable development by avoiding greenhouse gas emissions. They can also help ensure enhanced health and economic outcomes for people in the global south. And COVID-19 pandemic has only strengthened the case for efficient appliances. According to research published by 60 Decibels, 72
Apologies, we've just having a small technical difficulty. Just give us a couple of minutes and we'll attend to that right away. Thank you for your patience.
Hi, I think I'm back. Apologies for the technical issue. I think I'm back. So yes, people are forced to stay at home and socially distance. Cold chain and solar water pumps can help bolster food security, and televisions and computers can enable distance learning for young people whose education has been disrupted by school closures. And appropriate health equipment can help diagnose and treat COVID-19 patients. Next slide, please. Off and weak grid appliances can also play an important role in leveling the playing field for women and girls, people with disabilities, and vulnerable groups such as refugees. Access to modern energy and using appropriate appliances can have transformative impact on women's lives. Efficiency for access research in India and Nepal showed that using water pumps and farm machinery enabled women to do jobs that they previously were unable to carry out. Moreover, over 1 billion people need one or more assistive products, which can help them to lead healthy and productive life. Innovations such as visual aids and audio cues on appliance function buttons can help improve accessibility of appliances for blind or deaf people. All these considerations underpin the creation of the challenge. First and foremost, the competition is helping to build the pipeline of talented young people who can go on to make a positive impact in the off-grid appliances sector. Over the past year, our students have benefited from an accelerated training and development program. As Mike mentioned earlier, our team delivered a webinar schedule that sought to equip students with understanding of the fundamental principles in energy access. Creating appliances that can address the needs of marginalized groups has been crucial to the challenge. Students attended a webinar given by 3 experts on gender and social inclusion, such as Energy Saving Trust Senior Insight Manager Richard Goyal. The assessment framework also required students to demonstrate how their designs considered the Sustainable Development Goals' overriding commitment to leave no one behind. They needed to consider how their appliances could help promote gender equality and meet the needs of people with disabilities. Our student submissions have demonstrated a real commitment to fostering low carbon development and enhancing social inclusion. A couple of teams created solar-powered electric cookers, which can reduce indoor air pollution, which is one of the biggest contributors to cardiovascular disease in the global south. It can also free women from burden of collecting firewood and give them time to engage in income-generating activities. Elsewhere, considering the ongoing global COVID-19 pandemic, we have been thrilled to see teams have created solar-powered appliances that can help treat patients and store much-needed vaccines. One team also created solar-powered oxygen concentrators. And teams have also been sensitive to the needs of smallholder farmers who constitute most of the population across the geographies where efficiency for access works. We were thrilled to see energy-efficient mills that have been ergonomically designed for female smallholder farmers and solar-powered dryers and food dehydrators, which can help reduce food waste, which is an ongoing problem that affects food security in African continent and elsewhere. Our teams have created an engaging video that brings to life the amazing prototypes that students have created. Special thanks go to the IKEA Foundation for providing funding for creation of these prototypes. You will be seeing the video shortly. Besides the hands-on experience in creating off-grid appropriate appliances, the competition seeks to instill confidence in students so that they can make their mark on energy access. We invited students to participate in career conversations, which were engaging and interactive events that allowed them to connect with a range of industry professionals working at a global level. They received invaluable advice about career opportunities in the sector. Indeed, Callum Watkins, who was part of the University of Strathclyde team that won silver in Design Challenge in 1920, said that the competition was a fantastic opportunity to meet and connect with experts in energy access. The competition also contributes to innovation in the off-grid appliances sector by allowing universities to participate in real-world design challenges to enhance student learning. Academics can also interact with a global community of peers working in energy access. And private sector representatives can engage with a pipeline of outstanding young talent who are interested in pursuing a career in off-grid appliances sector. We have been delighted to interact with hardworking, collaborative, and determined leaders among the academics and industry mentors involved in the Efficiency for Access Design Challenge. In a recent interactive event that sought to connect academia with industry, our teams at Energy Saving Trust and Engineers Without Borders UK as well as a selection of academics working in the off-grid appliances sector and private sector representatives. We learned about a highly successful partnership between the University of Bristol and People, Energy and Environment Development Association. They collaborated on the development of 2 new designs for turbines for the Nepali microhydro market. And their joint work on e-cooking helped cement this partnership as key players in e-cooking in Nepal. Besides this, our industry mentors leveraged their deep knowledge of the off-grid appliances markets to provide students and teams with invaluable support in developing their designs. And we have even more ambitious plans for the Efficiency for Access Design Challenge in the coming years. Currently, there are 167 students, 18 universities, and 35 industry representatives who are taking part. By 2027, we aim to have reached over 1,300 students and supported the development of 300 ideas. We also hope to expand the competition to more countries in South Asia and Sub-Saharan Africa. All this work will help to empower teams of university students to help accelerate access to modern energy services where it's needed the most. Great. So thank you to everyone who has been part of the Efficiency for Access Design Challenge this year. Congratulations to all the students who have taken part in the competition. We appreciate your commitment to achieving universal energy access. Recognition also goes to all stakeholders involved in the Efficiency for Access, which has collectively invested over 200 million to support technology innovations for off-grid solar-powered appliances. And lastly, thank you, of course, to UK Aid and the IKEA Foundation for supporting this competition over the past 2 years. So thank you, everyone. And it's been a real pleasure for me to be here today and take part in this event. I'm handing back to you, Sarah.
Thank you very much for your speech, Inga. I will now hand over to Emma Crichton, Head of Engineering at Engineers Without Borders, who will chair our panel discussion and Q&A session, How Do We Truly Achieve Inclusive Energy Access? If you would like to ask our panelists questions, please submit them via the chat. Over to you, Emma.
Thanks, Sarah, and good afternoon, good evening, or good morning today's event. To align with the international nature of the Design Challenge, we'll be now hearing from 3 professionals as they reflect on the question, how do we truly achieve inclusive energy access? As mentioned earlier, this event is also linked to International Women in Engineering Day, as today is June 23rd. And we hope to open the door to wider topics of diversity, equity and inclusion. This is an opportunity to reflect, to celebrate and embrace the complexity of people and celebrate the need for diversity within the process of engineering solutions. We will also really touch on a key point around the need to include people at the heart of how we try to provide energy access. So for the next 30 minutes or so, you'll be hearing personal and professional reflections from 3 fantastic panelists. And my role is only to steer the conversation and ensure that we land on some tangible next steps for the participants of the Efficiency for Access Design Challenge. So first up is Georgia, who, similar to many of you today, participated in a design challenge programme whilst at university. Georgia Thompson is a passionate inclusion advocate and co-founder of Diversity. Through her work, she actively works with individuals and organisations to break down barriers by shifting the culture and changing the narratives for those belonging to diverse groups. Georgia is a civil engineer, currently a design delivery manager for BAM Nuttall, and manages the design delivery of a £50 million structures and buildings portfolio on behalf of Network Rail in the UK. Georgia is an Engineers Without Borders UK changemaker and supports our work to embed global responsibility into the heart of engineering. She also believes creating truly inclusive environments is imperative to attracting and retaining diverse talent. Georgia has been a part of a number of campaigns to improve diversity in engineering, whether it's with universities, schools, Women in Engineering and in Science and Engineering, WISE, Open Data Institutes, Engineering UK, and the Institute of Physics. And Georgia was a finalist as a rising star for the Black British Business Awards in 2020. Welcome, Georgia. Next up on the panel, we have Umita. So Dr. Umita Bhakta is a freelance consultant specializing in equity and inclusion issues in the Global South. Umita holds a PhD in civil engineering, which explored the water, sanitation, and hygiene needs of perimenopausal women in urban Ghana. As a consultant, Umita's work focuses on exploring the hidden needs of services and development contexts, which are often not obvious for professionals. Umita has conducted various projects related to inclusive and efficient access to technology, including exploring clean cooking for people with disabilities and how organizations working with people with disabilities have adapted to the COVID-19 pandemic. Welcome, Umita. And finally, on the panel today, we have Dr. Margaret Matinga, who has worked extensively on analysis and program design for national sustainable energy for all initiatives in Southeast Asia and Africa. She has worked on a variety of aspects of gender for 17 years, including research, capacity building, program design, advocacy, and impact assessment. She also works on energy poverty, focusing on research, policy analysis, project and program design. Dr. Matinga has an MSc in Mechanical Engineering from the University of Malawi, an MSc in Energy Studies from the University of Cape Town, South Africa, and a PhD from the University of Twente in the Netherlands, where she's also taught postgraduate courses for 4 years. Her work has included ethnographic research on the experiences, perceptions, and responses associated with the health impacts of biomass acquisition and use. Dr. Matinga is the founder and director of Dunamai Energy, which is a consultancy firm based in Malawi that provides policy analysis, project design, and research support for energy projects. Wow. So Maggie, coming to you first today, and thank you so much for joining us. It's incredible to see your truly global education, and I'm hoping to dig a little deeper into that global perspective. So first up, what does being globally responsible mean to you? I think you might be on mute.
Thank you, everyone, and thank you for the lovely introductions and the rest of the panel. Well, I think first, being global is to really make sure that we're not leaving people behind, that people, particularly that do not have access to a good quality of life, I think that's the starting point, the good quality of life and dignity in life, have the services and the technology that support that. Because I think when you do that, not only are you supporting people's dignity and people's quality of life, you also tend, if you do it well, if you do it from a sustainable development perspective, you also tend to also support biodiversity and to deal with effects of climate change, or even to help mitigate climate change. So I think that's part of being global. On the other hand, being global means having the responsibility around your consumption. And that applies particularly to the West. And that applies particularly to the sort of privileged people that are there, that are not the $1 a day people, but those of us that are responsible for plastics and fuel emissions and a lot of consumption, and saying what consumption levels and what consumption mechanisms, including energy sources, do we need to make sure that we maintain planet integrity? So for now, I'll just stop there.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. And Georgia, coming to you, similar question. So what does being globally responsible mean to you, but also how is it linked to creating inclusive environments?
Well, for me, being globally responsible is about ensuring that the design is considered throughout the process. So we're thinking about who we're designing for, you know, why we're doing it, and who it's going to benefit. I think globally being responsible is not necessarily just about thinking on the major scale, it's also thinking about the design process and how we relate to each other and how we think about the people that we are designing for. You know, sometimes you can design things for people that aren't in your own communities. So you need to extend your thought process to understand who those communities are, what their needs are, and not necessarily has to be across the country or across the world. It could literally be, you know, a few hours down the road. They have completely different needs to the ones that you do. So being globally responsible for me means about questioning every single part of the design process and asking yourself the question, why am I doing this? Who am I? And remembering who you're designing or building for.
Fantastic. And Mita, a similar question, what does being globally responsible mean to you? But also, yeah, it'd be great to hear, you mentioned in your bio around hidden needs for services that aren't always obvious to professionals.
Yes.
So maybe exploring that a little bit.
Yeah, so being globally responsible is actually being considerate of whose ideas and how we need to design for the different people in society, similar to what you just said. And quite often we tend to go for lowest hanging fruit in terms of design. We tend to go for things that are more obvious, like gender or disability. But actually designing to be inclusive requires us to go deeper and to look at issues which we don't commonly look at more broadly. And to find these hidden issues, that means that you need to go and talk to people in the communities to find out what matters to them. You might think, for example, that the issue in the community is design of access to design of water facilities. But if you talk to women or the disabled children or the people, they might say it's not about the water, it's actually about the toilets. It's about the cooking devices that we're using. So it's really important that you start from the bottom up and talk to the people who are in the communities before setting out on your inclusive design process.
Fantastic. And I think all of you touched on that point of, you know, how do you include people in the process of design? So celebrating the fact that there's a complex diversity of people living in the world, in different communities, in different towns and neighborhoods. How do you bring their perspectives in? So Maggie, from your experience of looking at gender, what insights can you provide us on how to create inclusive outcomes?
I think the first thing is to start with what do they want for themselves. When you look at whether you're looking at women or whether you're looking at people with disabilities or the poor, they do have aspirations. They do know what works in their world and what they want. And the traditional approach has to be, oh, we know what you want. This is how you do it. And that normally doesn't work. So the first point is to ask what people want and really start a process where you are innovating and designing together rather than designing for. I think that's a very, very important part of that. And just the second point is about, you know, an understanding that there's a cost to this. I think this is something that we have not paid particular attention to. Yes, markets work. Yes, markets can work in certain contexts, but in other areas you need to extra support. So whether this extra support comes in terms of building capacity for students in developing countries or for villagers in developing countries to be part of that process, whether that is supporting women acquire certain technologies or changing the conditions in the society, or in a particular community, it could be an investment community, changing the conditions. typically we've said, oh, let's fix women, let's fix people with disabilities, or let's fix the poor and make sure that they fit into our system and can meet the barriers that we have, but we accommodate diverse people.
Fantastic. So many key points there on that responsibility for us to really think through the power structures as well that are involved here, and the influence that they have. Amita, in your research on clean cooking, what insights can you provide on how people with disabilities are being included in the process of designing for solutions?
That's a really interesting question, because when I did this research a couple of years ago, we didn't actually know anything about the inclusion of people with disabilities, and from what I can understand from the desk review I did, not much to learn about this topic in general. What we can see that we can draw from lessons in other sectors, such as more sanitation, hygiene, or other gender projects in development to provide lessons for being inclusive in clean cooking. So there's that the idea of consulting people with disabilities, but also trying projects for them to understand what they need and what's best for them. You can draw on what's out there in the market. So for example, there's lots of products that have been adapted to people with disabilities for cooking in the global north, but that hasn't actually been applied so far as much in the global south. So I think what we can now is look at what we're learning from countries in Europe, in America, in terms of products like you can get cookers that talk, or you can get parts of the accessible handle, or you can get appliances that have different lighting feeds or easy to use switches. And quite often it's little things that can help people to cook more effectively if they've got a disability. And at the end of the day, it needs to be about the people themselves. So if you're designing products for cooking, you need to think about needs such as being able to hear, being able to see, being able to feel, and designing features within the products to cater for these needs. That's really key. There's some really interesting products out there that I saw in the global north market, which need to be applied in the global south.
Fantastic. So a real call for change there in terms of how we make sure that that is part of every solution, no matter where in the world you are. Fantastic insights. And Georgia, you've been involved in a number of campaigns and founded an organisation in the UK to look at this need for inclusion in more depth. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Of course, I think, Maggie and Amita made really great points about designing with people and not for. So not to repeat what they both kind of said and take it more in a different direction, and just thinking about the environments in which we're designing in, and making sure that those environments are inclusive to allow people to have those kind of discussions about, have we thought about this, have we thought about that, and give the people the confidence to kind of ask sometimes uncomfortable questions, and make people feel comfortable that they're not going to be ridiculed or, let's say excluded because they're asking certain questions, but also just giving people the kind of thought processes that we need to think about other people. So that doesn't necessarily mean all the time the person that we're necessarily designing for. It could be the subcontractor or the people that are actually building the products who understand more about that end outcome and how these benefit as well. We don't always have access to the end user to get them involved in the design process, but it doesn't necessarily mean that we have to exclude their views. So making sure that we're working with teams that have some sort of experience with working with people that we're designing for, so they're able to give a appreciation of the designs that we're doing. I think inclusive culture is definitely all about the design, and as Amita said, it's all about people, but that's all the people involved in the design, and making sure that we're taking everybody's views into consideration, even if necessarily you might not agree with them. It's important that people are able to voice their opinions, and if we can include these things in the design, that we adapt it to make sure that it's not just for a single person, and it can be expanded to other groups. So if people with more diverse needs, then we can kind of account and accommodate for more than one type of group of person.
Fantastic. And I think that principle of being inclusive throughout the process is absolutely clear. I think you've all articulated the real need for that. Maggie, to come back on your point on resources as well to enable that process to occur. How do we make sure that inclusion is something that we do throughout processes and is taken seriously and is actually enabled in how we create solutions?
Hey, I'll come to that question a little bit from the development perspective, and really to the resource part. And I think to look at it as a responsibility, there are several reasons why we should invest in this. One is, more diverse, the more people are involved within design or have access to decent quality of life, the more can contribute to a better world globally. And so that is in itself the reason to invest in that. There's human rights and dignity is a reason to invest in that, and also building resilience of communities to climate change. There's also, of course, the point to be made about redressing, in a way, millennia of inequalities, whether they be gender, racial, or ableism, and to just make sure that everybody's part of that. So whether it's private sector or governments, really need, and universities really need to commit high levels or adequate levels of financing and also human capacity to start looking at this question and making sure that it is happening, and to be accountable for it, making really bold targets and then being accountable for for reaching those targets.
Fantastic, thank you. And Georgia, I think in your bio we heard that you were saying it's imperative to retaining and recruiting diverse talent, and the kind of business benefits a little bit of that as well. Have you got anything to add on this point on resource?
Yeah, I think, a lot of talent within kind of organizations, it's quite easy to go to kind of the typical places that you will always go to recruit, but where we're designing on a global scale, it's no longer kind of good enough to do the traditional methods. You need to go out there and be a little bit more creative about the way you find talent, because we all know about different perspectives. It brings you a wider range of the ability to problem solve. Different people have different walks of life, so they're able to bring different viewpoints, perspectives, and just concepts of how best to do things. It's not always the best thing just because necessarily we're in the UK. It means that the way we do things is going to fit the entire world. We need to be able to accommodate and actually adapt that our own viewpoints isn't necessarily going to benefit a rural community in Asia, for example. And if we don't know what that life is like, we need to be a little bit more creative. So we might not be able to visit there, but is there people that we can talk to? We've got the internet, we can research and actually understand exactly what type of equipment or materials or processes that is required. So just be a bit more creative in the way that we design, and don't just rely on the person that did it before. We have Google. It's literally our best friend.
Thanks, Georgia. And I think that point's really important if we look at UK's colonial history as well, is making sure that we're really deeply learning from our past, our shared history. Amita, we're talking about resources and people adapting to this and making sure that this is a key principle going forward. But I know that you've been looking at how organisations have responded during the pandemic to creative and inclusive solutions. What insights can you share with us about this moment in time where we've had this global pandemic and huge disruption as well?
To give a bit of context, this community project which looks at the experience of people working with disabilities and organizations working with people with disabilities in numbering and communities, how they adapted to COVID. I think what was important is that irrespective of the pandemic, irrespective of the circumstances that we were in, the needs of people with disabilities had not changed, rather they had increased. So it wasn't that because of a lockdown, everything stopped. Actually, what was going on was that the organizations were delivering services to people's doors rather than holding events in community settings. So it might be basic things like food, medicine, and clean toiletries, as well as health services and medical services. I think going back to your question, during the pandemic, what's been key is that inclusion practice and inclusive process have been a key part of the response in so many different ways, and actually the organizations that were part of this project designed the responses to be inclusive in difficult circumstances. So that's very key, that the design process of the response has to consider who is involved, who are we targeting, and how do we reach them in the process. Also, I think whether some of these lessons are transferable to other sectors as well. So there's been lessons learned around the use of technology to reach out to people with disabilities during lockdowns, and in that can apply to all sorts of organizations and settings. Yeah.
Fantastic. So the pandemic has both disrupted and therefore created the need for making sure these outcomes reach people with disabilities has been heightened, but also you're saying that there's that creativity in terms of the response of the pandemic and how we've come together to try and respond to this need that has shown some of the ways to do it in more inclusive ways.
I think in some ways that the accelerated access to some technology, not massively, but in the sense that some organizations have gone out to deliver tablets to people with disabilities in communities, so that even if they can't go and visit them, they can at least have a video call to check in on them. So it help that connectivity much more.
Fantastic. And is there any other examples that other panelists have of kind of this creativity in terms of how to produce inclusive outcomes, whether it's organizations or people that are doing this well or doing it differently, or examples of best practice? Is there any examples that any of you would like to share?
Yeah, I think I'll give an example of Barefoot Engineers, which started in India as an initiative to address energy access problems. And what they have done is to train women, most of them without any formal education, to assemble solar panels and and very soon they will be going into production of various solar products and solar accessories, and to do installations. And from a traditional perspective, it tells you that no, you have to have 4 years of engineering education and you have to have something else. But they have relatively successful, and I'm not saying everything's successful, but they've relatively successfully done this with fairly what we would people that are not formally educated. So I think that's one thing that that is possible. But also innovation or design is not, you don't design for the sake of the design, you design to reach people. And companies, organizations such as Energia or Solar Sisters have effectively used women that were typically excluded from fairly remote areas to reach out with, high-level technical products such as solar panels and solar lanterns to reach out to communities that would otherwise not have them. And that creates, of course, income for the women, but it also, these women are aware of how to talk to the women who need this, how to clarify what this product does and how to pay for it and all those things. So they have a comparative advantage because they live in these communities. So you can have inclusivity at design level, at production level, but you can also have inclusivity at reach of the product. So these are just some two examples that I can share now.
I was just gonna kind of add, it's slightly different, but I know Heathrow Airport, you know, airports at the best of times can be very confusing, but with people with kind of neurodiversity, such as maybe, you know, autism, you know, their heightened sense of kind of noise and light makes traveling even more kind of complex. So I know Heathrow created a sensory room. So, you know, a space where people, you probably can't do it now, but where you can kind of touch and feel the room to kind of be a kind of calming sense for people with more neurodiverse, more neurodiverse, but the business case behind that is that if you can make people more comfortable traveling, then they're more likely to go to the airport, which would mean that they're going to spend more money on the airport, which then you know, will create an income. So it's a business case behind making spaces more inclusive of other types of people that aren't necessarily neurotypical. And the reason why I like it is because it was kind of led by their disability network. So it's about kind of tapping into your own resources and, you know, your own employees to allow them to create adaptations to things that have already been created. It's quite, you know, easy to say, you know, let's include it from the beginning, but that's not always possible depending on who's involved. But if you can see a need, and you know, you can prove even further that there's a business case behind it which will generate further income, then ask the question, you know, start the conversation and go forward with it with conviction, because, you know, we can always do better, be better, and that's the whole point of learning. So, you know, maybe the next time an airport's built, that's already considered, let's have a space for people that are more neurodiverse, as an example, to, you know, improve that kind of inclusive design cycle, because it's ongoing.
Fantastic, some powerful examples there. Thank you so much for sharing those. To kind of pulling us into this, you know, advice and support for people on the call today who are hoping to learn more. At its heart, this design challenge is an educational experience. So I'd be really keen to hear from you all is what you hope participants who've been involved in the programme will take forward. What do you hope they continue to do going forward? If you come to Amita first.
Hi, yes, I think one of the key things to take forward from this is listen to the people. They know what goes on in their communities. They know what's working and what's not working. They know what technology works and what doesn't. Some things don't need a test, or they don't need an experiment to understand whether something works. If you go into a community and ask the women there whether the water pump is working, they will tell you that because they're the ones that fetch the water. So that we are going forward in the specific region. Always keep the community at the center. Think about who you're designing for, who you're working with, what their needs are. And to do that, think about the most effective way to engage with the people. Quite often you need different techniques. So, for example, people with disabilities might need adaptive methodologies to communicate with you. Or women might need to talk to you at certain times of the day. So my basic message is keep the community at the centre, keep the people at the centre, and really go forward with it. You can really do quite a lot by working together with people at a community level. Yeah.
Fantastic, powerful message there. right there about people, keeping people at the hearts throughout of what you're doing. Fantastic. I'm coming to you next, Georgia. What do you hope participants take forward?
Well, as someone who's done the design challenge, what I took from it, I think I mentioned it earlier, is that, you know, there's so many different communities and cultures around the world, and what different doesn't necessarily mean bad or wrong. So, you know, what works for us here, again, in the UK won't fit, you know, other places in Europe or Asia or Africa or other parts of the world. And for me, I actually met some people from East Timor, which was where my design challenge was based. And I instantly felt a connection with them because, you know, I'd researched where, you know, their country and the things that happen there and earthquakes and things like that. So I could instantly relate to them as people. And that's what it's all about. It's all about people. And I hope that you can learn from what I've learned as well, is that it's about making sure that what we design and what we do benefits the people it's designed for and who we're building for. And it's not about what I think will work or, you know, what I've done before. It's about making and designing the right things for the right people in the right places, using the right materials. And I hope it empowers you to go forward and allow you the opportunity to design for others and keep that thought process throughout the entirety of kind of your career. And that, again, it's all about people and making sure that you make people's lives better. And that's kind of what I got from the design challenge, and, you know, I'm still banging that drum now. So yeah.
Great, super. And Maggie, what about yourself?
Well, firstly, I would just want to congratulate every participant and say that, you know, whatever the results of the challenge, you're all really doing a fantastic job and you're all winners. I know this is said also many times, but I looked at the designs and I was just amazed by the range of design and the obvious thinking of who the end user, because it all addresses very critical issues. So congratulations for that. And three things to take that. I think you should continue to look for ways for inclusivity. Think big, even beyond what we can advise you, what we can share with you. The second thing is to keep challenging the business as usual scenario. Why do people think this should work this way? Why can't it work differently? I think that is the kind of thinking that is going to transform our world and make us better and make us respond to the challenges of COVID and poverty and climate change. And finally, believe in your power. I think the last 2 years, whether it's Greta or the Black Lives Matter or COVID itself, has shown us the power of communities and the power of young people to change the world. And that is only because they've been young people who have been very daring in how they believe they can change things. And I think it really should come from that. Believe in your power and try it. So yeah, those are the three things that I think I would say.
Fantastic. And yeah, we're all kind of learning. We can all continue to take this kind of principle of inclusivity and learn more, hear more, learn different lessons from different sectors, etc., etc. So just as a final question from me before we open up for maybe one or two questions from the chat box. So participants on the call, please do add in any questions that you have. So one final question from me is, what would you recommend as a next step for somebody looking to learn more?
I would say connect with people that can support you to build up your idea into reality. Connect with your peers who have been part of this design challenge. And if possible, connect with some of the communities you're designing these things for or with.
Fantastic, thank you. What about you, Amita?
Yeah, I think mainly that they can also recommend it's about connection. It's about connecting to the right people, to the communities and the experts, and just working the field, but also it's about being able to share ideas between yourselves as well. There's a lot that we can learn from each other. If we work together, you may find that if you design a facility for community for it to be inclusive. You need to take different perspectives. So the engineers, for example, it might be that you need to get chemical engineers working with civil engineers and other engineers. Don't be limited to your sub-discipline, broaden your horizon and work with other people as well. You want to be pretty inclusive. Also, don't just limit yourself to engineering. Broaden your scope to social sciences as well, because at the end of the day, if you're designing for people, you need to know what people need. And to know what people need, you need to understand social aspects as well, and cultural.
Fantastic, thank you so much. And Georgia, what about yourself?
I'd say stay, connected with organisations like Engineers Without Borders, who are continuing talking about this kind of stuff. I'd also say connect with other organisations. So like what I do with Diversity is all about embedding that inclusive culture into the way we work and into our teams. And I'd also say to read, oh, you can't see it. It's a book. I'll put it on my face. It's called Mismatch by Kate Holmes, and it's about how inclusion shapes design. So that book, I've read it and I've done a few book clubs on it with some organizations, and it's all about transforming and remembering how to embed inclusion into design process. It's never a finished article. It's something that we need to keep doing forever and ever. It's a circle for a reason. So I'd say, yeah, read that book and continue to just ask yourself the question.
Fantastic, brilliant. And if there's any other thoughts from the panelists, if you'd like to pop anything else in the chat box, don't let the end of the panel end with you sharing your perspectives. If there's questions or learning from others that are on the call today, where they've got ideas about things that we could learn or ways that we could learn more about inclusion, then please do stick that in the chat box as well. This is a great opportunity to share some knowledge as well from the hundreds of people on this call today. I think my job here is just to wrap up a little bit, just to say a massive thank you to the panelists. It's truly fantastic to hear your insights and so impressive bios as well in terms of your career to date as well, and this journey to being more globally responsible, more inclusive. So thank you so much for your time today, for sharing your experiences, and for a fantastic panel discussion. Sarah, back to you.
Thank you very much, Emma, for chairing the panel discussion, and to our panelists for your fascinating insights. Please do email the Efficiency for Access Design Challenge team if you would like to ask our panelists any further questions, and we will paste our email address into the chat. We will now take a timed 10-minute break and resume in 10 minutes. I'll start now. See you in 10 minutes. Welcome back, everyone. I will now hand over to Sean Davey, who will review the Efficiency for Access Design Challenge for this year. Over to you, Sean.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Efficiency for Access Design Challenge Grand Final event. If you're involved in the challenge this year, you may have seen my face around. My name is Sean. I'll be zooming you through an overview of what the challenge is, followed by a few highlights from the year. We got a lot of ground to cover over the next 10 minutes, so bear with me. Next slide, please, Sarah. First off, a good question to start with. What is the Efficiency for Access Design Challenge? Next slide, please, Sarah. In a sentence, the Efficiency for Access Design Challenge is a global multidisciplinary competition that empowers teams of university students to help accelerate clean energy access. The challenge invites these teams of university students to create affordable and high-performing off-grid appliances and supportive technologies. The Efficiency for Access Coalition and Engineers Without Borders UK collaborate on the delivery of the Efficiency for Access Design Challenge. The Efficiency for Access Coalition is coordinated jointly by CLASP, an international appliance, energy efficiency, and market development specialist non-for-profit organization, and the UK's Energy Saving Trust, which specializes in energy efficiency, production verification, data and insight, and advice and research. The coalition is made up of 16 donor coalition members and is co-chaired by FCDO and the IKEA Foundation. The flagship program of the Efficiency for Access Coalition is the Low Energy Inclusive Appliance Program, LEA for short, which aims to accelerate global energy access through affordable, energy-efficient appliances. As mentioned, the Efficiency for Access Design Challenge is co-delivered by Engineers Without Borders UK. Society urgently needs to balance the needs of all people with the needs of our planet. Engineers Without Borders UK are working to put global responsibility at the heart of engineering to ensure a safe and just future for all. This movement is aiming to reach the tipping point where global responsibility becomes integral to the way all engineering is taught and practiced. Engineers Without Borders UK is part of a global movement of over 60 Engineers Without Borders organizations and a conservative estimate of over 150,000 members. They work at all levels of education with design challenges like this one. Their goal is to inspire putting people at the heart of the engineering process. Their passion for this challenge is rooted in the belief that globally responsible engineering sits at the heart of building both a more socially equitable and ecologically safe world. Next slide, please, Sarah. As mentioned before, students are invited to create affordable and clean energy appliances. However, the designs they create must also follow one of these two tracks. The designs themselves must either aim to improve the quality of life in homes or increase the productivity of businesses. Next slide, please. The objective of the challenge are as follows: to inspire student engagement in the off-grid sector, to build academic awareness and capacity, and to forge long-lasting relationships between universities and the off-grid industry. Next slide, please, Sarah. This year, we had 15 universities and over 30 industry partners take part. This is growth from last year's 9 universities and 13 industry partners. We only hope to grow the challenge further to 30 universities and 40 plus industry partners by next year. Next slide, please. Now that you're all up to speed with the design challenge and what it's all about, we can move on to a look at this year. Next slide, please. Now, I won't dwell on this graphic too long and instead break it down for you a bit more in the coming slides, but this is a snapshot of this year in the challenge, kicking off in August with a webinar for academics, followed by the first of the kickoff workshops for students to begin the challenge in September. And finally, to close off today with the grand final event. All the key deadlines and milestones of the challenge are presented on the timeline, but next slide, please, Sarah. Now we can begin to look at 6 key highlights that I've identified from this year. First up, next slide, please, Sarah, yeah. First, I would like to mention the webinars. Beginning in October and closing off in April, shortly before the final submissions, students had the opportunity to join webinars on the topics seen on the slide. With panels made up of industry partners with expertise in each specific topic, the webinars were able to cover a huge range of areas, some covering general design considerations, such as understanding end user needs, or gender, disability, and social inclusion considerations, some covering key efficiency for access design challenge themes, like agriculture and productive use appliances, or healthcare appliances. Next slide, please, Sarah. Another highlight of the challenge is the mentoring scheme. Following students' concept note submissions in February and building on those, using those ideas, students were paired with industry partners with relevant expertise. Mentors were able to provide resources that might otherwise be inaccessible to students, whether that be by providing written resources or utilizing their expertise and experience. Primarily, they were able to act as a sounding board for student ideas, not telling them what to do in their design, but providing advice and guidance informed by their own work in the sector, often in a similar technology. They were also there to support their students, like when some mentors showed up just to sit in on the lengthy pitching sessions last month. Next slide, please, Sarah. So here I will keep discussion of the prototyping opportunities of the challenge brief, because we have a whole video dedicated to this brilliant opportunity coming up just after this. But quickly, prototyping provides the opportunity to students to realize their design ideas and to work out and test real-world design problems. Some of our participants highlighted that there were issues in their design that they were completely unaware of until they brought it into reality. 17 teams received prototyping funds this year. Next slide, please, Sarah. The Connecting in Academia and Industry event, which took place last month, was in an effort to facilitate possible relationships between our pool of academics and industry partners. The sentiment behind this being that the perspective provided by academics, provided by industry experts in the field can help inform course content, and the perspective and access to research that academics have could inform innovation in the industry. The event covered a presentation on a working and fruitful partnership between the University of Bristol and PETA about how their partnership formed, what its benefits and challenges are, and advice for how to foster these relationships. This was followed by a guided facilitated discussion where mixed groups of academics and industry partners discussed prompting questions on these types of relationships. Finally, to close the event, there was a networking opportunity where participants were invited into informal breakout rooms with a chance to openly discuss and network. Next slide, please, Sarah. We also had 2 career conversation events, our most recent one taking place last week, following the success and positive reception of our first one in February. These events provided students who are in their final years of a university career with the opportunity to hear true success stories of those who have entered and made it in the industry. It was an opportunity to hear advice and guidance from those sharing those stories, hear about different career paths one can take, ask open questions to a panel of experts, and finally spend most of the session in more intimate breakout rooms with industry partners to discuss career advice and possible next steps. Next slide, please, Sarah. Finally, what I'm sure was a highlight for our students were the final submissions and pitching sessions. In April, students submitted a 4,000-word report and a 3-minute video, which was then assessed by a panel of reviewers. It was wonderful to see this year of hard work come to fruition in the form of these beautifully presented and innovative designs. Students then took part in pitching sessions at the end of May. They provided a 10-minute presentation to amazing panels of industry partners, and they were asked 10 minutes worth of hard-hitting questions from that same panel. Next slide, please, Sarah. Now the only highlight of the year left is, of course, the grand final event, which you are all part of today. This is a grand celebration of a year of hard work from our participants, academics, industry partners, and the Efficiency for Access Design Challenge team. We hope you're all enjoying the day so far and are only looking forward to more. We got a lot in store for you coming up. So thank you all for your time.
Thank you very much for that overview, Sean. And now a sneak peek into the challenge this year and our students' projects. We've created 2 videos to showcase the Efficiency for Access Design Challenge for this year. The first is an overview of the year, and the second video provides a sneak peek into the students' prototypes.
The Efficiency for Access Design Challenge. Nearly 800 million people still lack access to electricity, To reach these people, we must come up with creative solutions. The Efficiency for Access Design Challenge enables teams of university students to create affordable and energy-efficient appliances and technologies for low to middle income countries. Efficiency for Access is a global coalition working to promote high-performing appliances that enable access to clean energy for the world's poorest people.
Appliances can enable children to study at night, empower women, and help families earn a living.
This design challenge is important because, as we know, and this is something we strongly believe, energy is cornerstone for any societal development. Unfortunately, we know too that about 1 billion people don't have energy access, so energy needs aren't being met. So the challenge sparks innovation and sparks learning. And we all know that the 1 billion people without energy access now, they're really hard to reach, and innovation is key to change that situation. So we're happy to fund that innovation challenge.
Throughout the year, Efficiency for Access ran webinars, networking, and interactive events for students, which aim to enhance their understanding of the off-grid appliance sector. Student teams were also paired with mentors who provided them with structured guidance to create their projects. Here are some of the highlights from year 2.
What inspired us to take part in the design challenge was that we wanted to use our engineering skills to create a positive impact in society and actually make a difference in people's lives.
So our highlight to date was using the information from the webinars as well as the interviews we conducted with our external mentor and the professors at the university in order to continuously tailor the device to meet the needs of the local community.
Industry experts presented at webinars to explain the challenges and opportunities involved in creating off-grid appliances.
A webinar focused on gender, disability, and social inclusion to encourage students to design with these principles in mind.
If you leave social inclusion unaddressed, this can be very costly to individuals, so they can actually have loss of wages, overall reduction in lifetime earning, impact negatively on their education and their employment, and then specifically looking at racism, discrimination, and mental health, those have unique, in addition, negative impacts.
Another webinar looked at the challenges around the electrification of healthcare facilities.
There's a serious gap, there's a serious problem, both on access to power, so just having electricity to begin with, and then also the reliability of that power. So we do see a lot of health facilities that may be connected to some kind of an electrical grid or a mini grid, but then the reliability of that power is not up to par, which of course has very negative impacts on health service delivery.
The Career Conversations event enabled the participants to learn about potential career paths from industry experts.
I would really urge you to explore, widen your thought process, widen your learnings, and also if you're a technologist, it's also good to have understanding of economics, how will this work, have some understanding of how things work actually at the ground level, and it is not only like a technical know-how.
Students were able to pitch their ideas in front of a panel of expert judges in May. Here is a sneak peek at the pitching sessions.
So the objective of our project was to develop an efficient and DC-compatible oxygen concentrator that has the same capabilities of an AC concentrator. We aim to grant access to life-saving medicine to previously unreached communities, adapt existing technology, and as a result of that, reduce mortality and improve the quality of life for many.
Our design minimizes water requirements through a closed-loop water circulation system. In our design, 2 liters of water was required to grow 1 kg of hydroponic fodder compared to 73 liters for 1 kg of conventionally grown barley fodder.
Disabled people are usually cut out from agricultural activities in Uganda, which limits the number of income sources they have. And since the subsistence agriculture is usually labor intensive, that usually cuts them out. So we developed this system with people with disabilities in mind.
During the material selection, recyclable materials with lower overall embodied carbon were selected to reduce the lifetime impact of the machine.
The submersible pump at the bottom of the tank pumps water at a sufficient pressure to the ultrafiltration filter, the DAS filtration. As the water flows out of the filter, the pipe is fitted with an ultraviolet light emitting diode, a UV LED, that does instantaneous water purification of the water.
But it's important to know that each solution that is being proposed here actually is speaking to an actual challenge that exists on the ground. And therefore, even as the competition goes, this should not be the end of the innovation.
Just the fresh thinking, the creativity, the energy behind all of your submissions is fantastic. And I think really it's wonderful to know that there are these great minds addressing these huge challenges that we all face.
All of you tried to answer on specific development challenges, and I think that's very important, irrespective of what the outcome is. I think you all should be proud of your efforts.
Your ideas are so necessary for the challenges that we see today, and so it's very inspiring for someone like me who does this. It's been doing this for about 20 years to see such great ideas coming forth.
Climate change and its impacts are already having a devastating effect around the world. Innovation and technology are key to tackling this global crisis, so I'm inspired to see the innovative ideas put forward by students to improve global access to clean energy. The UK will use our COP26 presidency to drive global change and help vulnerable communities access clean energy and build resilience to climate impacts. Ideas like these are invaluable in building a greener, more sustainable and more inclusive world.
Learn more at efficiencyforaccess.org/efficiency for access design challenge.
IKEA Foundation provided funding for our participant students to prototype their project ideas. This opportunity allowed teams to demonstrate their concept to the judges. We'll now show you a video that provides an overview of the prototypes that were created and the amazing ideas that students had.
The Efficiency for Access Design Challenge. Prototype designs. With the support of the IKEA Foundation, we provide funding for students participating in the challenge to create prototypes of their appliances and technologies.
Funding is key for any prototype development because, as we know, design on paper always looks good, but until you get that prototype in the hands of those that need the most, you won't really learn. You won't see how needs are being met if price and performance are right. So developing that prototype and testing it and learning from that is really key.
Actually, I think I would like to especially thank you guys for the prototyping opportunity, because we don't get a lot of opportunities like that. So I think if I had to say what my biggest takeaway from this challenge was, I would say that it was the prototyping funds and also the responsibility that comes with it.
We've chosen to highlight some prototype designs from Year 1 and Year 2 of the challenge. Their innovations seek to improve energy access by streamlining transportation, keeping vaccines cool, and improving agriculture. Each team has considered the challenges that are present in low to middle income countries.
Team 13 from Year 1 of the challenge has designed an innovative battery charging system for electric rickshaws. Their lightweight battery and charger would replace the current bulkier systems. Rickshaw drivers could charge the vehicles faster and earn more money as a result. Team 22 from Year 2 has designed a clean electric cooker. The design aims to tackle the associated impacts that exist when burning solid cooking fuels, such as household pollution, health risks, and deforestation.
Team 12 from Year 2 has designed a hydroponic fodder that could help enhance crop yields for smallholder farmers across rural India. Team 28 from Year 2 has designed an efficient kettle that purifies water. It is designed for use in sub-Saharan Africa, where there is limited access to clean water. Team 3 from Year 2 has designed a solar-powered vaccine refrigerator system.
And we know sometimes it takes 2 to 3 years before innovation actually gets into the hands of those that need it the most. So the earlier we start, the better.
Our aim is to empower university students around the world to help accelerate clean energy access. Learn more at efficiencyforaccess.org/Efficiency for Access Design Challenge.
I will now hand over to Jackie Garcia, Senior Project Manager and Luke Smith, Program Manager at Engineers Without Borders UK, who will present the awards. Over to you, Jackie and Luke.
Thanks very much, Sarah. And yeah, just hearing Sean's talk there and looking at some of those past year highlight videos, it's been incredible the sheer number of speakers, ideas and events that you joined us on. And as Mike was saying at the very head of this event, the enthusiasm and the sort of engagement behind this design challenge, it really highlights the importance of the benefits of improving energy access, but also how passionate this community really is in being able to achieve this goal. And it's likewise been inspiring to see how far we've come. So from those first kickoff workshops with the students to now seeing these very well considered solutions that intend to be able to improve the lives and livelihoods of people through bringing that improved access to the benefits of engineering. And this year we've had 111 students participating in the design challenge, making up 33 teams representing 15 universities from 6 countries around the world. And they've all been researching and designing innovative solutions with that goal to improve the lives and livelihoods of people living in off-grid populations by creating more affordable and efficient appliances. And just reflecting on some of that advice shared by Amita, Georgia, and Maggie in the panel discussion, it's been great to see the consideration that's been given to that contextual appropriateness of the designs and the attempts to really understand the needs and lifestyles of people as well. But all of this has been leading up to our grand finals events. And the students' ideas, they've been scored by our reviewers and our judging panels, and the standard was incredibly high this year, with very little really separating those award winners and our participating teams. So a huge congratulations to everyone who's participated in this design challenge year. And it's now time to announce our award-winning teams of the second year of the Efficiency for Access Design Challenge. And following their submissions and pitches to our panel of industry experts, 7 teams have been awarded with bronze, silver, and gold awards. So we have 4 teams that have achieved bronze, 2 a silver, and 1 a gold award. And just to also make you aware, we'll also be announcing the winner of the People's Award as determined by those involved in the Efficiency for Access Design Challenge who voted on a crowdsolve platform. And we have asked our student teams to have a representative ready to be able to join us on stage to share a few words if their team is announced. So please do turn on your cameras and microphones and join us to share some words and celebrate your great work if your team is an award winner. So on to the People's Awards. Next slide, please, Sarah. This year, the students have been uploading their designs onto the crowdsolve to showcase and promote their designs to those involved in the challenge. And from this, we've seen a total of 218 votes that have been cast to determine our winner. And it was an incredibly close call at the top, with just 5 votes separating the winner. But with a total of 63 votes, this year's winner of the People's Award goes to Team 2012 from Terry University of Advanced Studies with their design, the solar-powered hydroponic fodder unit. This is a low-cost automated hydroponic fodder unit that's been designed to boost livestock production and income for those living in poverty. So a huge congratulations. Now, will a representative of the team like to join me by turning on their camera and microphone and share a few words?
I do. Hi.
Hi, Sarandeep. How are you doing? How are you feeling?
Yeah, I'm doing fantastic. This is a really great honor to be awarded this award. So I would like to thank everybody who voted for us and also the Efficiency for Access team for providing us this opportunity. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much, Sarandeep. And what was it you think about your design that really captured the minds of those people who were part of the design challenge this year?
I think basically the chord it struck with the problem that we addressed. I think we addressed farmer suicides and the widows left behind. So I think it was a problem at such a primitive level that it connected with everybody. So I think that could have gone a long way.
Thank you so much, Surandeep, and thank you for joining us in the Design Challenge and up on stage today.
Absolutely. It's a pleasure.
Now we will announce the 4 bronze awards. And the first bronze award of this year's Efficiency for Access Design Challenge goes to Team 2020-03 from Independent University, Bangladesh, with their design of a solar direct dry vaccine refrigerator and effective cold chain system. This is a smart vaccine refrigerator that uses ice banks to keep vaccines at an optimum temperature without the need of traditional batteries. A huge congratulations. Will the representative like to join me on stage and say a few words?
Yes, definitely. Could you give me a moment?
Of
Let me
course.
just set up my camera. Yes. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for giving us this opportunity to actually get this award. And would like to thank our project supervisor and as well as the IKEA Foundation and the Efficiency for Access Design Challenge to give us this platform. It was a pleasure and an honor to work with you guys. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sadiq.
Yeah.
And this moves us on to our second bronze award winner. So this award goes to Team 2020-10 from the Gulu University with their project of a point-of-use solar UV water disinfection for emergency situations. So this design solution proposed a use of disinfection system at a low cost that could be used for refugee settlements. So congratulations to the team. Now, do we have a representative who can join me on stage today?
Yeah, thank you so much, Luke, for the opportunity to be presenting at this grand final. I'm Moses, and I've been part of the Gulu University team that has won bronze. We are very appreciative for the guidance from our university academic and the team from the Efficiency for Access plus the industrial partner, rather the mentor you gave us. We are so appreciative and look forward to continue with this project and make sure that it impacts the lives that need it most. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much for joining us up here, Moses. It was great to hear from you, and congratulations again.
Thank you.
And the third bronze award goes to Team 2020-12 from Cherry School of Advanced Studies in India with the design of their solar power hydroponic fodder unit. Congratulations for this second award today. Would you like? Please come back to the stage and say some few words.
Hi, Jackie. I can't seem to turn on my camera because it says the host has disabled it. Okay, now it's on. Yeah. Thank you so much. It means a lot to be validated on this scale. So it also means that when we want to scale this prototype up for actual implementation, this would go a long way in convincing people as to the viability of the solution. So this actually is a very, very welcome honor from the Efficiency for Access team. Thank you so much.
Congratulations again.
And now on to our final bronze award. And this award goes to Team 2020-22 from Loughborough University with their design of a solar battery powered e-cooker. So a huge congratulations to the team. Now, I believe this was a single team member project. So if the individual is available, I think it might be Tommy. Is he available to join us on stage today?
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much, Luke.
Hi, Tommy. How are you doing? How are you feeling?
Yeah, really good. Thank you very much. Yeah, just want a big thank you to everyone who was sort of involved in creating and then running the design challenge this year. I think it made a massive difference as an individual project to sort of still have some kind of collaboration, really good to be able to share the work and kind of the information through the webinars, through the mentors. And also the prototyping funding was huge for this because I wouldn't have been able to prototype to the same extent without it. And that really sort of formed the backbone of what I did. So yeah, huge thank you for all of that and for the recognition.
And congratulations on your success, Tommy. Thank you.
And now we will announce the 2 silver awards. And the first silver award goes to Team 2020-28 from University of Bath in the UK with their design of an efficient kettle for off-grid Kenya. The team has designed a dual-mode insulated kettle with an integrated filtration system that sterilizes the water and saves energy. Huge congratulations. Will the representative of the team like to join me on stage and say a few words?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Hi, Paul. Yeah, we can hear you. How do you feel?
Yeah, great. Thank you very much for thank you very much for this opportunity. I'd just like to say well done to all the other teams as well. It's been quite a fun project to work on. I think I can speak on behalf of our team to say we've all enjoyed our time.
I'm glad to hear that you all enjoy participating. Thank you and congratulations again.
Cheers.
And now on to our second silver award. And this award is going to Team 2020-20 from UCL with their design of a solar-powered oxygen concentrator for use in sub-Saharan Africa. So huge congratulations to the team. So do we have a representative who could join us? Maybe tell us what this means to you and your team having won the silver award this year.
Yeah, hi. Thank you so much for this award. I think first of all, I just want to say like a big thank you to my team, to George, Salome, Reed, and Kayer, because all I've seen so far is, throughout this journey has been their consistent drive, determination, and patience. And of course, a huge thank you to our supervisor, Vasco, and our industry partner, Joel, because all we've had from them is just ongoing support and enthusiasm. So thank you to everyone. And I guess in general, we just want to say that this challenge has been nothing short of gratifying and really unforgettable. And we also wanted to let you guys know that we truly value being given the space and the opportunity to pursue any topic that we wanted in the renewable energies. So seeing how we've come from like barely knowing anything to do with oxygen concentrators to us now hopefully working on this even more, we really owe it to UWB for providing us with this support and our industry mentor. So yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Alice, for those great words. It sounds like an amazing team effort as well.
Definitely.
And now, the moment you all have been waiting for. The winner of the Gold Award of the Efficiency for Access Design Challenge 2020-2021 goes to Team 2020-19 from UCL in the UK with their design of a vaccine refrigeration unit. This active cool box is a portable refrigeration solution which aims to bridge the gap between cold boxes and vaccine refrigerators. Huge congratulations. Will the representative of the team join me on stage and say a few words?
Hello, I don't know if you can see my video.
We can hear you, Safia, but I cannot see you. You are, the screen is black.
Okay, I guess, thank you. We really enjoyed this challenge. It really made us think a lot about the different aspects. I think it was really important to know how you worked in context, but also particularly being encouraged to look at the business model. And we particularly enjoyed working with our in-industry partner as well. So it's been a great experience for all of our team. And I think that we've all really learned a lot throughout this process and things that we can take forward. Just kind of having that, as been mentioned before, the kind of real world project, something that's actually a problem in reality, and then being able to apply that as we go forward.
Well, the hard work has paid off. What do you think was the biggest challenge in getting here?
I think the biggest challenge for us was in the initial stages, because I think there's so many areas that you can improve efficiency and really improve people's lives. So I think that was the hardest part for us, was actually selecting initially what a problem we actually wanted to tackle. And I guess what helped us to get there was that it was so big of a problem and so new, particularly with the COVID situation, but actually underneath that, it's an ongoing problem for many people across the world. So yeah, definitely trying to select that initial idea that we would go forward with.
Yeah, thank you for your words and sharing your insights. And congratulations to all the awardees and to all the participants in this second year of the Efficiency for Access Design Challenge. All the industry experts engaged in the competition, either as mentors, reviewers, or judges, were delighted with the quality of the project submitted. Thank you all for your participation in the challenge. Over to you, Sarah.
And thank you very much. Thank you to everyone who attended the Efficiency for Access Design Challenge Grand Final for this year. Thank you so much to the students who participated in the competition, to the academics at our participating universities, industry mentors who provided invaluable support for participating students, and everyone else who was part of our competition for this year. And of course, special thanks to UK Aid and the IKEA Foundation for funding the Efficiency for Access Design Challenge. We will send you a recording of today's event and transcript, and please do complete the end of event survey that will be in the same email. Before we end today's event, we would love to be able to say hello to our community and take a photo of attendees. Please only switch on your camera if you are happy with us taking a photo. Okay, thank you so much to everyone who was part of the event today. It was wonderful having you with us, and we look forward to seeing you next time. Have a wonderful day. Bye.